Family, I am in Matthew chapter 25 today, parable of the talents. Jesus is telling a parable of the kingdom of heaven, and it can be illustrated by a man who was going on a long trip. And what he does is he takes money and he gives it to his servants. But I just want to give you some things that I wrote down in my Bible that I keyed in on today that I had never keyed on before. And likely should have, but just missed it. The first one is in chapter 25, verse 15. He gave 5 bags of silver to one, 2 bags of silver to another, and 1 bag of silver to the last. Listen, dividing it in proportion to their abilities. The Greek words here, the first one is idios, which is the word from which we get the word idiom. It's this idea of being a private party. And then the second part, that is ability. So his own ability, we get the idea that it's a private, and then dunamis is the ability part, the power that a person has to do, the ability to do. So he did it according to each one's private power. Now, there's a lot here. Number one, this man who is entrusting his servants with these goods knows his servants and he knows their ability. And in knowing his servants and knowing their ability, what he chooses to do is give them what he expects from them. Listen, give them what he expects from them according to their ability, not according to his expectation, not according to what he can do, but according to what he knows they can do. So he's not giving them anything that they're not able to do. The Bible says the one with 5, he went and he invested it, is what the NLT says, but it means that he went and he worked, or he put the money to work. And then the second one did the same. So for both of them, we learn if we work for money, then money should work for us. And so they turn around, and the Bible says that the first one actually traded it. So there's this idea of putting the money to work, investing the money, something to make sure that that money gets more. The second one, the Bible says likewise, and then he won more. And then this third one, this is the thing that just blew my mind. So the master gave the money to be used. I mean, the whole point of it was that he gave it to them in order to be used. And so, check this. When he comes back and he settles an account, you'll notice in verse 18 that the third person took it, dug a hole in the ground, and he hid the master's money. And he thought apparently he was doing the right thing. Now remember, the master gave it to them according to ability. So then this is a parable, right? Earthly story, eternal significance. Whether or not he thought he could make money, the master knew he could. And so the master gave him according to his own, like the ability that the master had seen, the ability that the master had surmised is how the servant was given the responsibility that he was given. When he comes to settle accounts, the first 2, of course, are faithful stewards. But we know about this third one. The Bible says in verse 24 that when he settles the account with him, he says, Master, I knew you were a harsh man, harvesting crops you didn't plant, gathering crops you didn't cultivate. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid it in the earth. Look, here's your money back. So much right here. I was in counseling today, and one of the things my counselor said is he at times, because of his upbringing in the church, views God, and I identify with this, views God as kind of like a big giant man holding a 2x4 waiting for us to mess up. And I wonder if this servant, again, I know it's a parable, but if this mentality that Jesus is bringing up is a servant who has FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. FOMO is fear of messing up. And I know I suffer way more from fear of messing up than fear of missing out. But what this servant says is, I knew you. Like, you knew me, you gave according to my ability, but I knew who you were too. Like, and I know how you work. And I was so afraid to mess it up that I didn't do anything. I was so afraid to mess it up that I didn't do anything. I didn't win. I didn't lose. I actually thought about this morning with the hot and cold, but I'll spit you out because you're lukewarm. I think this is the idea, a similar idea of the lukewarm. It's like, bro, you did nothing with it. Like, you didn't lose it, but nor did you try to gain it. Like, you didn't do anything. And so I had never seen this before, but watch this. I was afraid I would lose your money, so I hid. Who does that sound like? For the first time in my life, and I read through the scriptures every year, I got all these Bibles on my shelves that I've read through. I never seen it before, but he sounds exactly like Adam. He says, what does Adam say? I heard your voice walking in the garden, Oh, I heard you coming. I hid. I was afraid because I was naked. He basically says, yo, I knew who you were, but I was afraid, so I hid. Fear always leads us to hiding because, again, we're afraid of messing up. But remember, the master gave it to them according to their ability. So you need not fear messing up because he even says, look, he even says, why didn't you deposit my money in the bank? At least I could have got some interest out of it. What he basically is saying is, yo, I knew you at least had the capability to do that. And he's asking the question, not because the dude didn't know to do that, but because the servant knew to do that. And instead of him doing the little bit, listen, instead of him doing even a little bit he knew to do, he was so afraid he would mess that up that he didn't do anything. Instead, he went and hid the talent. So God's not asking you to steward the million followers on Instagram you don't have. He's asking you to steward the like 50 that you do. And there are many times where we're trying to pursue things bigger and different than what God put right in front of us. And listen, he gave us the ability to do it. And we chasing other people's gifts. We chasing other people's talents. He gave you the ability to do exactly what he wanted you to do. My counsel, as we were praying to end counseling today, he said, Lord, I know I see you as somebody holding a 2x4, but that's not really who you are at all. You are one who had your arms stretched out on wood. Think about that concept. From seeing God like somebody holding a giant piece of wood to seeing him as somebody stretched out on one, all so that you can really know him and know what he wants for you and know what he wants from you. He's not asking you for stuff that he hasn't equipped you to do. Talking to me too. I hope that blesses you today. Live in your talents, live in peace with God and with man. Love you. Peace.